Hey everyone, welcome to Grain Therapy, the woodworking podcast where we discuss our passions, methods, and personal growth as we build our woodworking businesses. This week, Matt and I reflect generally on what we are trying to get out of this, the podcast, life, work, all of it. We share a little bit about the bigger why behind our dreams and talk about actionable steps to dream making and getting support. This podcast can be found anywhere you listen. If you find value in it, please leave us a comment or review. In addition to following this podcast, find us at Boss Man's Boutique and at Whiskey Woodshop to see our projects start to finish. So sit back and watch, listen while you work, or put us on in the background. Either way, we hope you enjoy. How you doing this week?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I've got same drink as I normally do, but instead of sour, I've got have you seen the Fever Tree stuff?
No, I
That's
haven't.
the brand. It's like this little 8-ounce mixer bottle. I got
Okay.
the grapefruit, so good. It's at
Okay.
they have them at Costco, but they have them everywhere
So
too.
it's a modified Brian punch.
That's right.
And mine is a old fashioned with Balcones Texas whiskey.
Nice.
So kicked the bottle today, but I still brought it up here to show you which one it was. So
Awesome.
you got a fancy mic in front of you. Look at that.
It's all right. It's a little older than the new mic you got.
Yeah, I mean, I went for one too. It's episode 11, and now we just got to make a jump up
That's
that
right.
quality a little bit. So I hope everybody can hear it.
Always be improving.
Yep. Now you can hear all the flaws in my voice before it was all covered up with muffles and static. But this is what I sound like, I guess. Now I'll probably hate it listening back, where before I didn't really care. Like it was like fine. Like it just sounded like my voice. But now listening back, I'll probably be like, oh, because nobody likes their own voice.
I think it sounds more like your voice in person. So that's like, I think it'll be less noticeable, hopefully.
Okay.
But,
cool. Yeah.
So what? Other than a new mic, what do you got going this week?
A new mic stand, a new microphone, a new camera. No.
Headphones.
Yeah. We're just we're getting ready to launch this thing, right? So lots of stuff going on there, but then just working on jobs. So I've been for my jobs recently. We'll do a quick shop update. I had the tap handles job for a brewery, which I'll name now that the job has officially landed, is Finnegan's in Minneapolis. And so I'm making 100 tap handles for them. And it's going to be a big project in batching and trying to be efficient. But I made 5 initial samples and then got them approved and then got them paid for. You can tell with like bars and restaurants, the cash flow is pretty weird. So it's harder to get paid by them versus a residential consumer. So it's important to get paid up front for any of you out there who are working in those industries. Just get paid up front because you don't know how their cash flow is going to be and when they're going to be able to actually cut checks and stuff. So I was able to get the 5 samples made off of the tooling payment that they did in order to help us set up the shop, set up the shop for production type volume of 100 of them. So we got all set up. I got the process figured out, what I kind of want to do. And then once I actually get to rolling on them, I'm going to dial it in. So the first 20 will probably be kind of rough, and then I'll get a real process for the last 80. So that's the rough plan there. But now that I'm fully paid, it's going to be like working for free, which is going to I'm going to have nothing to look forward to. But at the end of the day, I'm still happy about it because when I started the business, I was not going to take on any debt. And then in order to actually get anywhere, I needed some tools. I needed to build out the shop a little bit more to look more legitimate too, versus my normal garage. So was building out the shop on a company credit card that I started that had 0% interest for 18 months. And 18 months is up at the end of this month. So I have been pushing it to make sure I can clear all that out. And now that I've been paid, I'm all clear. So I've got almost nothing left on there. That's like $100, and I've got another job coming here in a couple weeks too. So I'll be all good, and then I can actually start to invest real money, not debt, like not invest and pay back later into the business moving
Yeah.
forward. So I think I use the card kind of correctly, because that's kind of the whole goal, is to just like get what you need and then clear it before it starts, because the interest rates on those cards are astronomical, like 30% or 20% or whatever it is.
Right.
And
That's a lot.
I did not want to get hit with an interest payment on a couple grand in business debt. So big weight off the shoulders now. It feels like I can almost like idle a little bit if I have to, because like
Mhm.
it's not my full time. So like I could go a couple months without a job now because I don't have business debt. I don't want to. Like
Right.
that's not the goal, but like it's more comfortable. I can focus more on design and getting good jobs versus taking any job. So that's pretty exciting. And then
Yeah.
um yeah, last shop update part, I'm just working on the built-in cubbies for a client friend in Shakopee nearby. And so I'm installing that in about 2 weeks. And
Okay.
we're at the home stretch, just filled in some of the brad nail holes from doing the face framing and trimming out of it. So filled those today. Gonna start priming tomorrow, hopefully. If I just got to sand first and then start the priming process and just be ready for install in a couple weeks. So yeah, that's where I'm at. How,
Cool.
how are you doing?
Well, I was gonna ask, what do you just have a basic primer and then do you do one coat of paint? I haven't done any
Mm,
paint projects really.
okay, don't start. Um, so I prime. I do Sherwin-Williams. I've got a account there
Mm-hmm.
because their trim enamel paint. I haven't tried a ton of other places, but it's solid. Their emerald trim enamel is like, that stuff will last the apocalypse, in my opinion. Not a sponsor, but it is worth it to go for the high end stuff there,
Okay.
where it's like $90 a can versus $60 a can, but it's just like it's durable, super durable. So the color's alabaster. It's like a white, and so the prime, I'm still gonna just do a white prime. I just
Mm-hmm.
use their all-purpose primer, and typically spray. And I'll be spraying this one as well. I think I might hand paint the inside of these cubbies, because spraying inside cubbies or drawers or any of that is really not fun with a sprayer. I've got one of those gravity fed uh, HVLP sprayers that I connect to my air compressor. And then so
Mm-hmm.
I've got a pressure gauge and a water filter that gets the water out of the air before it goes through the nozzle.
Okay.
So I've got that. It's not a fancy setup. It's like $100 and it gets the job done, but I don't love it. You got to thin the paint down a decent
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah.
So in order to push that through with air, yeah, you need to thin that down a lot. So then I do like 3 to 5 coats,
Okay.
and they're very thin, so they dry out pretty quick. So you can coat after like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Because I go on pretty thin. So what I think I'll do, just for the sake of having a nice glossy finish, because it's all nice smooth maple, so I should be able to get a nice uh, glassy finish on there. But I'll probably spray the outside and then come back and hand paint the inside of the cubbies, like the side walls and the back corners. That it's not going to have perfect coverage with
Mm-hmm.
the sprayer. And if I'm using like a fine, like a smooth roller, like a small skinny roller, I think it'll be adequate, and I don't think I'll have like complaints about the finish quality.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's the rough plan. We'll see. If it's going on real nice, I might just roll the whole thing. I know that's kind of frowned upon, but at the end of the day, if it looks nice and it's durable, like if I have a thick enough layer, that's what I care about more. This is in a closet, right? So they're
Mm.
not staring at it at all times. It's for organization, and it needs to look good and have a smooth finish, but it's not a outer cabinet door of a kitchen, right? So
Right.
I'm towing the line of I'd rather it be more durable, because they're gonna have little organizers and little plastic pieces on it, with a bunch of like craft stuff and shoes, and like there's all kinds
Mm-hmm.
of stuff they're gonna pack on these shelves. So I'm gonna worry more about just having a thick enough coat, but I'll do at least 3, no matter what.
Okay.
Is the answer to the
Yeah.
long-winded answer to your
Nice.
question.
No,
So
that's good. That matters because yeah, anytime you finish a different way, it's nice to know as much going into it beforehand and
mhm.
hearing as many different ways people have done it as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
cool.
don't know if many people double prime, but I like doing 2 coats of primer,
Hmm.
which Like with walls, I don't obviously because I don't like house walls are so different than product, but doing 2 coats of primer on like raw wood really helps compared to one.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it's almost like the first is like a seal coat and the big pores just soak that up. And then
Mm,
the real coat of prime is almost the second coat. So
okay.
that's just what I found spraying, but spraying is pretty light anyway. So we'll see.
What what drove maple as the choice to be painted over?
Uh, it has tight grain
Okay.
and it's not poplar. So
And
it's
it's
either
not
poplar
poplar.
or maple, right? So
Maple. Maple, that's
that's the
good.
new. Somebody breed that species of tree. Um, Poplar's nice because of the close grain and everything, and it's really well painted, but it's softer. So I
Mm,
try to talk everybody into maple, and
okay.
I've done maple on my own, like my own built-in at home. It's way more expensive, but like
Yeah.
I've ran into it with boots and keys, and the dog scratched at it, and it's been fine. So
Okay.
um,
That's good to know too.
yeah,
Sweet. Thanks for sharing that.
I wouldn't use oak or any of that because it's just so open, and you're gonna have the texture to it. And I can't really think of another one that I would use. Maybe like a birch, but that's still a little softer than maple, so I just go for maple.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I was thinking possibly like a ply, but I don't
Mm,
know. Then you got to fill everything if it's not a high quality like a Baltic birch, and then that's getting pretty spendy. So
mhm.
okay, but yeah,
So to clarify, the main structure is ply.
is ply. Okay, it's
It
just
is
like
maple ply.
the face
Yeah.
frame is what you're talking about.
Yes. Yeah. All the
Got it.
face frame is
Okay,
maple, and I edge all the ply with maple.
I
So,
see. Okay, now we're on the
but it's
same page.
maple ply if that helps. But yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
What
yeah,
have you
for
been up
me
to?
this week started moving shops. So got a big 40-foot trailer. I think it's 40-foot trailer that Nate Iverson has, and got all the big stuff moved over. Took a day, and then
There
I've
you
just
go.
got so I'm paying half a month's rent this month at the old place, and the second half at his place coming up.
Hmm.
So really generous from all sides there. So thanks
Hmm.
everybody if you guys are listening. Um, but yeah, so just really exciting, just getting to see how big that space is. I think it's like closer, it's like between 4,500 and 4,800 square feet. Um, a good third to a half of that is going to be his lumber storage. But then the rest is kind of a shared shop. So yesterday installed and put together the big giant Oneida dust collector. So I mean,
Hmm.
just to the inlet is like 10 feet high, 12-inch diameter inlet on that thing. And then waiting for the electricity. And then we'll start placing machines and kind of figure out what the layout is. We've done a
Hmm.
few 2D CAD drawings to kind of get an idea of the layout and what's an efficient use of the space. Um, but it's obviously different looking at a piece of paper compared to standing in the space. So
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
the next step. So not obviously didn't turn any tools on in the last couple of weeks, and probably won't for the next several weeks.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, that's all. That's what I've got going on. It's been on my mind.
So you see the big open space, and it's just raw potential.
Oh
Like it's
yeah.
just, oh man, I'm trying not to be jealous. I'm trying to like get excited. Well, I am so excited for you that I am jealous of the situation.
Hmm.
And I've said it too many times, but like that's such a sweet setup that you're gonna have there, and the access to wood and the community too, just having somebody else that's there and is, doing what you're doing, but in a
Hmm.
different way, like
Exactly. Yeah.
different businesses, it's cool.
Yeah. I think we push each other really well. Like he's really passionate about kind of chasing the dollar, but also being like really good customer service, and like wants to make sure he has the most to offer and like the
Hmm.
best to offer. And then I'm kind of, so yeah, he's kind of, let's do it quick, let's do it right. And I'm very much like, let's do it slow and let's do it right. And so
Mm,
we kind of just like complement each other. And there's been times where, yeah, I think it's just going to be a perfect setup in that regard, where just the two of us being in the same room is going to help us both speed up in a lot of
right.
different ways. So that's like that's the thing I'm the most excited about for. But yeah, to like we're up there standing, above the shop, so it's 15-foot high ceilings, but we're
Mm-hmm.
putting the dust collector together and just like looking out over all that space from over 12 feet up. It's just pretty wild to
You got to just be
you know
buzzing all day long.
yeah, 2 years ago, I was in, my 1.5 car garage that I sheetrocked by
Mm-hmm.
myself, and just like thinking like, wow, this is so cool. And now I'm in this big giant space, and it's kind of like it doesn't even feel real yet, just because it's a little surreal, and just,
You got to build something in it first, then it's real.
yeah, then it's going to be
Yeah.
real. Yeah. So just soaking it in, and um, dreaming about what's gonna come next.
How's the drive out there? Because it's kind of out of town for you, right?
Yeah, so that's the one downside. So it's so I live in North Minneapolis, and it's basically 40 minutes west. So I get on 394 and just
Mm-hmm.
follow it all the way out there. There's like one turn right at the end, and
Cool.
so yeah, 40 minutes gonna suck in the winter, but I've got plenty of podcasts, and
There you go.
I'll keep
Audiobooks.
myself
Yeah.
busy. Yeah,
There you go. You're going to be listening to this podcast on the way home every
probably doing my homework, making
There we
sure
go.
we keep a cohesive narrative going, and yeah,
There
no
we
doubt.
go. There we go. Yeah, every time we start, I'm always like, "Oh, what did we talk about last time?" But then you got to remember, sometimes people are jumping in right now, right? So
Hmm.
if they can always hop on for the ride, no matter where. Because I feel like every time we talk, I've got new plans in a way. Like I'm trying to fix everything that I've already messed up and readjust and like it'll be really interesting. I think in a couple, like I feel like we're at a midpoint right now for your shop, at least, to where at episode 20, looking back, now you'll be settled in.
Mm,
So right now you're in flux, like you're right in the middle. And then if you were to look at episode 1 or 2, you have no idea this is happening,
right.
right? Like I
Yeah.
don't know if you knew back then that this could
Mhm.
happen in December here. So that's kind of cool. Like the ignorance of the past is trapped in the podcast we've already recorded, and then you can go look at yourself and say, okay, you don't even know yet. You don't even know. So that's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
No, yeah, it's like a little time capsule for ourselves, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and it's just cool. It's cool to see and like be aware of, like remind ourselves that, this thing that we're doing, which is, running a business, y- you know, you have a way of how it's going to be in your head, right? And you're
Hmm.
getting really excited about that, but then it's always going to be drastically different than the way you plan it out. And
Hmm.
um, it's a good reminder to kind of figure out how to go with the flow as much as possible, but it's definitely a learned skill, and now we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Let's-
even know. Like now I'm paranoid about the future. Now I'm like, oh, where am I gonna be? Because you mentioned the garage stall that you sheetrocked and did
Mhm,
all that. That's what I'm working in right now. Like I did that last year. Like I sheetrocked it last year, but that's still the shop, and it will
mhm.
be for a little while longer. And then at some point,
Who knows? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just the way it is. You got to roll with the punches and see what happens, and just hope it's business and not like failure. So
Right. Yeah, and even if it is failure, quotation marks, you're
yeah.
gonna make it so it's a learning lesson and not a
Hmm.
true failure. So yeah, I've got no doubt that it's gonna be, yeah, to see that your plans change. I think it's usually gonna be better than you imagined.
Yeah, especially when
Right.
you're part of the reason, like you're making the decisions that are changing them. That's how you know you're
Right.
on the path too. If you have so much outside influence that you have to keep just taking 2 steps back, it's hard to keep going because you just feel beaten down. But these
Mm-hmm.
are all adjustments that we're intentionally doing, and that's how you know that you're kind of onto something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
that's exactly right.
that's cool. So what you might not have it, but what is the first project that will come out of your new shop?
Yeah. I definitely don't have it. So I've
Oh,
got a
come on! I've been asking you every week.
I know. I'm pretty sure I still think it's gonna be a bookshelf. And
Nice.
so I've had more conversations with my wife, and of just like I don't have my own furniture, and I'm probably repeating myself here over past episodes, but I've got one project that I made in middle school in my house, and I've got
Mhm.
one project that I made in high school in my house. And they're both cool projects to look at, but they're just so far different skill set
Yep.
than, where I'm at now. And so they're nice to have, but it's time to get an upgrade. And the other thing, like as I've been struggling with custom orders and just like the ways I get in my own way once that process gets started is to a heavy degree and a crippling degree. Like it seems really obvious now, but the more time that I've taken to reflect on it, it's like, all right, just make a bunch of stuff for myself, right?
Mhm.
But there's also the part, like business owner Brian is like, well, if I do that, then I'm not making money and I'm potentially wasting all this time. And
Mhm.
like, how am I going to do social media during that? And like, just
Mhm.
what's going to happen? It doesn't seem like the best business decision the more I think about it. But like from me, like Brian as a person in the world, it's starting to feel more and more like it's the best decision to just take some time away from customers and like away from any outside influence at all, and
Mhm.
just like, sorry, outside, and have only inside influence where it's just like, this is what I want to make. Let's make something that I can't wait to get in the shop the next day to get a little more progress on it. And it's just been a long time since I've felt that, like
Mhm.
more than, a couple days during a project. And so, yeah, it seems obvious. How do I get over my fear of people pleasing in the woodworking department? Well, take the customer out of the equation for a little bit and make sure
Yeah.
I get
Just
excited. So
practice
it's going to be,
making.
so I've got a bookshelf in a couple different versions of bookshelves. I'm going to like floating bookshelves, not standing on the floor
Okay.
in my living room. I'm going to make a new sofa table that's up in front of the window. Cat likes to sit perch there and
There you go.
watches the
So
neighborhood.
like a behind or side of couch kind of table?
It's actually a way. So we've
Okay.
got an entryway that gonna maybe build a like locker room bench
Yeah.
type, like all walnut thing there with, so we can store some dog equipment. And then right across from that, there's a table and a window, and then the couch
Mhm.
is over on the left, like 4 or 5 feet.
Okay.
So then I've got a new side table to make. I've got a new table to put the TV on, and some of like we've got an Xbox and a Switch gaming
Yeah.
console that I want to kind of figure out how to make them be decorations instead of just like a
Mm.
thing that's there
With a
and
ton of
out.
cords that look like a rat's nest. Yeah.
Yep. Um, and then yeah, what else? Those are the big ones. And then a coffee table is going to be like the finale in the
Mhm.
living room. And so I'm really,
So you're looking
I'm,
at it like a saga almost, like
it's going to be
it's a
a
little
series.
like it's a little yeah. Are you making them with the intention of possibly making them again and selling them? Is that at all
Yes. So
attractive? Yeah.
that's going to be part of, that's going to be part of it. This is going to be what I want. So that's what I've been spending most of the time on, is like, I'm realizing about myself that I work the best, like the most creatively. Um, and maybe this is true for a lot of engineers. You can tell me what you think, but
Mhm.
I think for me, it speaks to my engineering mindset a little bit, where like, if somebody says, hey, I just need an item, like the whole world's open and I don't know where to start. Whereas if you say, all right, I need this, but it needs to have this constraint and this constraint and this
Mhm.
constraint, and you start to construct a box. I can work inside of that box really well and like push to the limits and all the
Yeah.
directions, right? And so that's what I've been thinking about the most, is like, I want it to be a lot of walnut. I want more plants in the house and just
Cool.
get like a little more life in there.
Yeah. Hell
And
yeah.
and then I want each piece to be a little bit different, but mostly like match a theme. And so then I'm going to work on describing a little bit better like what the theme is and what are going to be the differences between the different parts of the room. But I want them to be
Mhm.
cohesive, but each one have like a little bit different of a thing. And so, yeah, that's what's really getting me excited is to like, all right, I'm creating the puzzle for myself to solve
Yeah.
based on just like a feeling. And so that's been fun. So I don't know if
That
that
makes a
answered your
ton of sense
question.
because you can make your constraints, right? Because you have your
Mhm.
own application where you know, okay, I need my coffee table to be this big because my couch is this big and it fits well in the room, and it's this height because the couch and like the way we use it is this height. And so then you have your constraints right in front of you, where sometimes it's really hard to get that out of a customer because
Mhm.
they aren't thinking of those constraints, and it feels like sometimes you're just like, give me like something, like what do you want? Like, I can
Right.
go anywhere with this thing. So that's like we've talked in the past where I'm quoting and I go like what I want to build, and then I go freaking far left. Like I just try to go way out there, and I'm trying to see what sticks, and then pull them together into something that they like. But where it's like you have the constraints built into your house and the way you use it, and you can go in and make that. And I like what you said too about the themes and like the tone of them. They're gonna
Mhm.
the 6 pieces. I think you listed 6 different pieces are gonna kind of work together in a way,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I've been trying to go. Where I'm making these like this Manhattan cabinet isn't just the Manhattan cabinet. I don't want to make just one. I'm trying to make a form, a shape of a cabinet, and
Hmm.
it's uber customizable. In the last couple weeks, I've been blowing up the basic customizations that I have into a stupid amount of customization to where because I feel like nobody can actually get furniture that they want anymore. Like nobody has ownership over the design unless it's so custom that it's unattainable to I don't want to say average consumer because a lot of consumers can't even like it's hard
Yeah.
to afford basic nice furniture. A lot of people need to use Walmart, IKEA, whatever it is. Like they just need stuff to hold dishes or like very
Hmm.
basic. But in general, like it's so unattainable to make those customizations that it's like they don't even know what to think about to ask for when they get there. And you're like, okay, what should we add any other features like small functional stuff? So in the last week, like I've been taking the Manhattan cabinet and I've been just extrapolating it to every combination I can make of it. And instead of 3 door types, I listed out like a bunch of stuff that I could think of, and I ended up with like 45 door types. Now, if they're all the same and if they all come from 4 basic shapes, I can make them all, right? So if it's a shaker door with glass, or if it's a shaker door with a wood panel, or a shaker door with fabric like a burlap, or like a mesh metal, or a like I'm just going through every iteration, and then all the basic dimensions are the same, so I can still make that in the future. I can still make that somewhat in bulk because I have
Hmm.
basic parts that are the same.
Hmm.
And so I took because before I had my 5 categories that have 3 options. So it's wood type, 3 options, door texture, 3 options, right? You can only make so many combinations. So I'm trying to go somewhere crazy now, which is a little crazy. I feel like it's a problem people haven't solved yet of truly custom furniture where some of these combinations are ridiculous. And how do you do that profitably where, like I want to make more than just a few pieces a year, right? So, um, at the end of the day, anyway, I listed a bunch of these features and what could be customizable, and still have components that I can use in various ways to keep that be able to produce it
Hmm.
reasonably, rather than taking so much time to do some crazy new door type or whatever. And I ended up with over 1 million combinations you could make off the one cabinet. Like,
Really? Yeah.
yeah,
A
and that's
million.
possible. 1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, over 1 million. So it's like I I'm so intrigued by that because it's like it's a basic shape of a cabinet, but you can make it however you want, really. Like
Hmm.
there are so many ways you can take it. And then if I have that cabinet and then I have a couple other basic shapes that I just need time to hone in how I can make them repeatable, and maybe they can share some shapes, right? So cabinet X, like the Manhattan cabinet shares an 8-inch leg, a round tapered straight leg with the sidecar cabinet, and now those components are the same, and I can have them on a shelf in the corner where I need to go
Mhm.
grab some walnut legs and
Mhm.
put them into this cabinet. So I'm trying to build this form where I have these basic forms of furniture that I've designed to where I can plug in different features that you might like, and then have additional things too, add-ons that are like lighting or any of these little things to make it yours. Like, let's make it so it works perfectly for what you want to use it for. Because
Mhm.
so many people have the same furniture and it means nothing to them. And I think there's going to be value in the future for originality, because with so many people in the world and the way that we manufacture things now, it's almost just like everybody could have the same dining table, and everybody could just, it could be made by a robot somewhere and we don't know about it. And I think there's value to people making it, and there's value to you having ownership and making the decisions of the features you want and how you want to use it. So
Mhm.
all of this is a great long-winded way to say I love what you said where you want the themes to match, right? So with this cabinet, I want to eventually have other options too. I want to get away from just bar cabinets and get into dining tables and coffee tables
Mhm.
and all that, and have themes that carry throughout,
Okay.
and have that as a just the strength of it too. So you can piece them together, but also there are basic themes where they work together, as an
So,
overall
so
design.
like have multiple pieces that can be customized this a similar way.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just yeah,
Cool.
so I'm going off on a crazy path here, which I think has merit because, like Henry Ford changed the assembly line, right? And I'm not trying to be Henry Ford, but I think we haven't fully addressed customization. Like, you can customize your truck, but how many options are there? And I think with everybody and all the homes that we have, like, a lot of people can't change their house. Like, they're in an apartment, they're in a, like, they can't do anything to make it their space, and I think furniture is like a way to do that. Uh,
Mm,
so I'm just getting excited with customization, and by you mentioning the 6 different pieces you're going to make and the themes you're going to carry throughout, that just reminded me of what I've been
sure. Yeah, I'm
obsessing over
curious.
the last week.
So do you think the more ways to the more ways to customize it, the better? Or like, I guess
Not always.
what's the balance between like your end goal in your end goal? Do you picture like, here are my catalog pieces and they've all got different customizations, compared to a customer approaching you and saying, I want you to design a full new thing for me?
Mhm.
Like, what percent do you picture like the catalog pieces compared to, here's just one of a kind for me only?
Right. So I kind of picture it like a 90%, 10% thing.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think what I'm coming down to is the main mission of where I'm going to kind of rebrand is to still make, I want to build furniture that brings people together, that people share moments with, right? Like, that's the ultimate goal. But like,
Mhm.
I want to make the custom quality furniture more accessible, to where
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a one-off piece that has to cost just a lot. Like, that's just how it works, like, for time and detail, that if we're going to make it nice and make it perfect, you got to go really big into the hours and the detail and everything. So I want
Mhm.
that these forms of furniture where you can customize and you can make all these decisions, to where it's practically your piece in a way.
Yeah.
'Cause you made so
So
many
the
design decisions.
all your
But
operations are the same, but the dimensions and choices are different. So that,
right,
yeah, so it does really streamline that.
right. And
Mhm.
then so you are still having ownership over that piece, but then likely we'd still take on, and I say we, but we're not there yet. But last week we talked about how I can only see the end goal right now, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to figure out the steps. But would definitely want to have experts in each niche. If it's bar cabinets or dining tables or beds,
Mhm.
to be able to go full custom if that's something you do. But that's going to be coming with the cost. But if the main goal is
Right.
to make it more accessible, then I want to make these shapes of different styles that you can go to town on. And
Right.
and if that's overwhelming, because that will be true for some people. Some people don't want to make all those decisions. There'll probably be 3 designer choice. Do you want it detailed, simple, or like basic. Oh, that's the easy. This is the most popular configuration. We'll go with that. Like,
Mhm.
some people are not going to want to make all the choices, and that's okay too.
Right.
So
And then, yeah, you potentially it's those are even less expensive because if they're the popular ones, you're doing a lot
you
of
got more
those
parts around. Yeah.
operations. Yeah, cool. Yeah, the other thing I really like about, well, I'm looking forward to about making my own stuff for my house is, and so much of it, not just like one or two pieces. I'm doing, 6 minimum, like you said. It'll probably end up being like 8 or 9 for
Okay.
one
Yeah.
room. Um, what I really like about that, and what I'm excited to experience, is that when that's all done, what's the what's the intangible value that like upgrading my environment is going to make me feel. And so
Mhm.
I get to be in the customer's shoes a little bit for once and just like experience the value that I bring to them.
Mhm.
And so like I think it's just going to increase my confidence in a lot of different ways that I'm not even fully anticipating yet. And so I'm really looking forward to that too.
That's a great point. I hadn't really comprehended that that isn't something that you normally get. Like, we've talked about the desk. I'm working on a desk. It's not a great desk or anything, but I made it.
Hmm.
The built-in downstairs, I made that. The vanity in my bathroom, I made that. So like, I get to see the things and I get to see people use them, and you made them, So then you have like an ownership over it too, and it just feels satisfying. So that's exciting. When you get to
Hmm.
put your feet up on your coffee table,
Right.
that's exciting.
And just like, yeah, like we haven't done extensive decorating in the house. Like we've got a couple paintings like this, and we've got a few plants and whatnot. But um, in terms of like, is there a place for like everything that we have? Not
Mm.
really. And so like, so clutter builds up over time, which it does for everybody. Like you live in houses, and I'm not trying to, yeah, like it's just kind of, it'll be nice to have a little bit more organization and like more of a room where I can just like sit down and like, okay, like everything's where it's supposed to be now. And
Mm.
like there's not this stuff that like I'm in this room and I'm being like reminded of like the physical thing, like, oh, I've got to do that chore and like get that off the table, or like do this and do that. And like, so I'm really hoping that at the end of this it's just like a room that like I feel good in. And right now
Yeah,
the living room's like, it's where I watch TV shows, and it's where, I rest like when I get home from work, but it's not like an overly pleasant like environment to just like
sure.
hang out in yet. And
Mhm.
so that's kind of the value that I'm hoping to get as like a new type of feedback that I haven't really gotten yet. But then,
That's awesome. Like, you're gonna build the piece into your own house.
mhm.
That way you can hang out and
And yeah, and maybe, and it's, I've also been thinking like noodling with the idea of like in the future, am I maybe not just like a one piece custom maker? Am I like, I'm doing a room,
a
like
set.
outfitting
Yeah.
a room. Yeah. And that's like exciting to me in a way that I didn't anticipate would be exciting too. So
Mhm.
we'll see. So there's just a lot to learn here.
So, we talked about in the past that you were thinking about doing plans. Are you gonna do
Mm.
those at all with your personal projects as like a side part for the business?
Yeah. So yeah, my process. So I talked about like the constraints. As I'm The next step after like understanding the constraints is brainstorming some ideas and designs, and then once I land on, so, especially if I land on something that like I can't wait to build this one individual piece, I'll probably make at least half to three quarters of the plan ahead of time. So
Mhm.
I've got something physical when I'm in the shop making it, can fill it in, and yeah, go from there. So I am planning on like doing a really robust, like deep dive into this in as many different ways as possible. So when
Mhm.
I'm done, I'm set up for jumping right back into production. And then also, have some, because I'm so ready for that production part, I know I'll feel better to do some more experimenting too, and just like try out some new things that like wall art. I want to get into that a little bit more and just
Yeah.
explore it. Um, but yeah.
Cool. Are you gonna keep up with cutting boards, charcuterie boards, cheese boards?
We'll see.
How are you gonna do? Yeah.
I think I'll definitely continue to make them. I plan to still do some shows next year.
Hmm.
This year was kind of a bust, to be honest, but I think I'll still do that. And but yeah, I think I've said it here before too. I'm getting tired of always hearing like this thing is too nice to
Too
use or
nice.
cut on,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, well then I'll have some, but I won't just like spend as much time there if stuff's gonna keep traveling with me and take a while to sell. So just want to, yeah, not necessarily want. I'm not necessarily trying to make stuff that people like more. I'm really trying to make stuff that I like more,
Hmm.
and yeah, wasn't very articulate, but
No, it made sense.
yeah,
It's the art versus the dollar, and you're
hmm,
leaning toward the art,
right,
right?
yep,
And that's like it's hard, but it's also fulfilling, and you're searching for the fulfillment right now,
right,
from everything I can tell. So
yeah, for sure,
then it's worth it, you know.
hmm,
Um, if you
yeah,
just batched out 1,000,000 boards that had nothing on them, it was just a chunk of wood. And from what we've talked about, it's not worth it, right? No
yeah,
matter the money that you get from it.
and like I'm open too to like maybe I go down this path and I find no fulfillment there, right? Like
Mm,
that it would suck to be the case, but like at the same time, like it's just one of those things like I feel deeply like I need to do this next and then we can talk about what's after that. And I've spent a lot of my life like here's the next thing, and then when that one's done I've already got the next thing, and then when that thing's done I've actually got the thing after that already planned out too.
mhm,
And it just enough of that for now.
sure.
And so let's just do one thing at a time, and it just feels more sustainable.
Cool.
um, yeah,
Yeah, you kinda seem at peace because you just got your plan, and now you're gonna chug along with it.
so much more relaxed. Yeah,
Yeah.
just not a ball of stress like I was when we started this thing.
Yeah, but those were good times too in a way, right?
Yeah,
Because you were
absolutely. It's all
grinding out hours and hours of inlay,
hmm it's all
learning.
necessary.
Yeah.
Gotta experience all the different things to see what works for you. Yeah.
So I do have a question with these pieces for your house. You
hmm
said mostly walnut,
hmm
and I'm worried for you. Are you okay? Because normally there's 5 species in there. I just need to make sure.
Yeah. So it's not going to be, I'm not picturing many species. I'm not picturing more than three, but
Okay.
that could change. And maybe there's
Mhm.
a couple pieces that have way more than that. Yeah. But I am okay to answer your question
There you
first.
go.
But it's not going to be, have you seen some pieces that I've done all walnut chevron, like
Yep.
chevron, but it's all walnut.
Yep.
Um, there's going to be some of that going on. So that
So, like, subtle detail. Yeah.
there's still going to be detail, but it's just going to be different. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm going to see what happens when I tone the colors back,
Mm.
but can I still make it still be that like obvious, well, there's a ton of labor and effort in here.
Mhm.
But just dial it back a bit and see how that lands. And it like for myself personally, that's definitely what I want in that room out there. So
Mhm. That's
yeah,
cool.
good question.
It was interesting how you just said obvious labor versus.
So yeah,
So
that's
I think that's another half of it, which I don't think we've talked about, is the obvious part.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah. I guess like I really appreciate pieces that like from across the room, you're like, that's nice. But then when you get closer, the closer you get, the more it blows your mind, like
Mhm.
kind of deal. So like that's really the
You want it to be
effect.
undeniable.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
effect I'm after. So like I'm not if you see it across the room and it shouldn't be obvious that there's a ton of labor there. It should be obvious that wow, that's a piece that, was intentionally designed. But as you get closer, I want it to just like grab you more and more. Um,
Mhm.
so
And
we'll
it
see.
keeps going and it keeps going, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see
You
how that
should,
goes.
You should hide stuff like underneath or something, like under the coffee table, and then people are like, "Oh, wow, this is really nice what you built." And then you're like, "Look underneath." And then they have to like look at your house. They have to like get on their knees and look underneath the coffee table to see
Snap pictures of
crazy,
people.
some crazy pattern or something that yeah, you would never catch me doing, but hey, obvious labor.
Yeah, there will be some secrets. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
that's definitely a thing too. That's been I was quite obsessed for a long time. That was part of what got me back into like I'm gonna do this woodworking thing soon.
Hmm.
Like back when I was an engineer was um just scrolling Reddit and seeing, hidden drawers, secret drawers, like
Hmm.
puzzle boxes and things like that. So like I definitely want to start bringing some of that fun stuff in that I haven't touched because I haven't found the perfect client. Well,
Yeah, you need somebody who wants exactly like a yeah. That's
yeah,
really hard to find. I never found anybody like that, but
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I'm getting pumped.
So I'm gonna vote bookshelf. I'm just not vote. I'm gonna place my bet on bookshelf because that's the first one we heard about, and
Yeah.
it feels like that's gonna be the first one out of the shop.
Yep.
No promises here because I don't have any control over it. But if I were to bet on it,
I
we
think
make it a bookshelf.
you're probably right. Yeah,
Yeah,
books are very important to me. So
there
it's
you go.
I've got like a stack of 6 right now that I just move from room to room, and be nice
Hmm.
to just put them up somewhere.
There you go. How many board feet do you think are sitting in the shop that you're working in right now? Because I saw a
No,
picture, and for anybody listening, there's a lot of wood in this shop, and you should
I'm
just sneak a pile into the corner and keep it for yourself because there's so much wood in that place.
I'm so terrible at like just estimating board feet, but like
Yeah, Nate would probably like say it right off the
yeah,
do it
he'd
without
know.
me. Yeah,
He'd know
whatever
within
it
a
is.
thousand board feet.
Oh, guaranteed.
But yeah, he's got, I'd say at least like 4 or 5 semi loads of timber in there. So yeah, it's he just had another semi load get dropped off this morning. So there's
Wild.
a lot.
That's wild. Yeah. So we talked about the drive. Is there anything
Mhm.
else that's nerve-wracking about the shop? How are the amenities? You got a bathroom? You got any food nearby? I'm just talking about all the fun stuff at this point because I'm just excited for you.
There's a bathroom.
Nice.
There's a Subway within walking distance. So
There you go.
probably have many
Eat fresh.
sandwiches at that place. I don't know much else about Watertown yet. One thing that Nate and I are kind of working out right now. It's kind of a last detail, not a deal breaker by any means from either side, but definitely a point of contention right now. Is
Hmm.
figuring out being able to do finish in the shop, and
Oh,
because he's got all the lumber there, it's a real concern of having just oil finishes in there, and so um, I think there's definitely ways around it, but we're just trying to figure out is it going to be a big difference in insurance if we are having finish done in there? Um,
and you're only talking fire hazard here?
yeah, fire
Okay.
hazard because
Yeah.
just because like with all the lumber in there, like it's
Yeah.
just so
That
if a
that
fire
that could
starts, like
burn all year. Yeah.
right. So we don't know what that looks like yet. And then, but yeah, otherwise it's a nice quiet town. Um, there's seem to be nice neighbors. I've met a couple people out there.
Nice.
Uh, yeah, it's good.
Sweet.
Just more to come. I haven't spent a lot of time out there yet, so it's
Mhm.
mostly just dropping stuff off and getting it out of the way for the electricians.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Well, next time you guys move, I'll be ready, okay?
Deal.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We should try to figure that out.
That's thinking a little too far ahead. Plans will change way too much like we were already talking about, right? Can't
Well,
bet
as
on
long
anything.
as long as you're open to much flexibility, I don't think you
Mhm.
can plan too far
I'll be
ahead.
spraying oil finishes everywhere. Yep. Lighting cigarettes in it too. Yeah, for sure. Just kidding. Oh man, so many like opportunities, but also like false opportunities is what I'm finding in the business, right? So couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, I'm so busy. I got so many jobs because I'm quoting a bunch of stuff, and none of like it's not like I'm landing all the quotes or like things just ghost out like you never
Mm-hmm.
hear. So the person who I was waiting for a deposit on for the cabinet, which I think
Yeah.
we talked about,
Yeah.
I don't know. It hasn't
Just.
showed up, and they're not gonna. I sent another Instagram DM last week, and I said, hey, never saw it, but um, setting up a business Venmo if it's easier to get the deposit that way.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'll just watch the mail. Hope you're having a good week or something. And
Mm-hmm.
he saw it and said seen, and then no response, right? So it's like it falls through. But he really sounded like he wanted this cabinet. So I'm like, ooh, we
He
got
might just
another one to
be
build.
moving money around, making it work, and
I'm
you know.
hoping. I check the
Yeah.
mail every day. I have a conversation with myself as I approach the mailbox, and I'm like, okay,
That's.
stay
I
calm
can't. I can't remember the last time that I was like, I gotta check the mail every day because I can't wait for this thing to
every day,
come. That's a
every day.
cool.
No, it sucks because it isn't coming.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for other stuff too, like other possible deposits too. So it's like you
Mm-hmm.
never know. Like every time I open the mailbox, it's like a
Lucky
scratch
day.
off or something. It's like, are we got something going on here? Am I gonna be extremely because I bet I would be super overjoyed for like a couple minutes, and then I would be terrified that I gotta
Mm.
go get this done by whatever the lead time is. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I quoted another job recently for an interior designer and then offered it to a friend basically right away. And I don't even have the job yet.
Okay.
But if I get the job, I will pester my friend again to take it. He's got tons of skill and he'll be able to build this thing. It's a plywood bench that's framed with maple and it's a maple bench top. But it's all painted white. He's a good painter and he's a good builder, but I'm trying to buy time at this point.
Yeah. So
You
you're
can stop me from
dabbling in contracting. So that's a whole new
yeah.
experience for you, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I have 10 legitimate shop hours a week. I got 12 total and two of them are these podcasts, right? So that's what I'm working with right now. And uh I always thought like, oh no, I'm limiting myself, but honestly, I'm like opening myself up by limiting with shop hours, which we talked about already, just
Mm-hmm.
it's freedom by having some rules.
Mm-hmm.
So um yeah, if I can get I'm gonna peer pressure him a little bit more if I get the job. I'll probably be telling you in a couple weeks, yeah, they never responded, but that's okay too because it's not exactly the final product I'm trying to go for anyway, and that's part of the
Mm-hmm.
reason I'm okay with offloading it. But I took the time to do the design and got a quote out. It's a nice quote. It's got lots of detail and renderings and drawings and stuff. So if they go for it, I'll be able to hand all the drawings off to him if he wants it, and then I'll still make like a little bit on it, tiny bit on it,
Sure.
that makes the design time worth it, and then it's still pushing the business forward. So at this point, that's all I really care about,
Yeah, that's
less
sweet.
than the hourly, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
So is he does he do a lot of woodwork? Is he a
yeah,
hobbyist?
he's a hobbyist. He's got all the tools. He has a dust collector, and I don't.
Okay.
Um,
Still
so
haven't bought that glamorous tool yet, huh?
yeah, not yet, not yet. A little bit longer. I just got rid of the debt, right? So we're in the
Yeah.
clear. Now I gotta just couple jobs and I'll have a dust collector. And then
Mhm.
a couple jobs and I'll have a saw stop. And then a couple jobs. Yeah. Keeps going.
Yep.
But yeah, so he's a designer at work. He does a ton of
Okay.
CAD. So he works with me a lot. So we're chatting all the time about woodworking and stuff, but he says he's too busy and he probably won't take the job. And I probably won't land the job. But have you ever thought about, I mean, the work you're doing isn't quite offload work, right? Like there's a lot of technical, artistic stuff, and it's more about handmade by you versus getting the job done for some designer, right?
Yeah, I've thought about it. Yeah, I kind of go back and forth. I just so a thing that has come up multiple times is I've had maybe three or four people ask if they could like come on as my apprentice, and like that that would be the way I would want to do it,
Mhm.
rather than just like contract somebody to do one piece for me. I'd
Yep.
rather like have somebody in the shop who I'm around all the time who, generally just thinks that they have something to learn from me. But what I haven't figured out to like, well, I shouldn't say figured out. I haven't felt confident enough that I'll be able to make that work and still get what I want and need while I'm trying to train and teach another person.
Yeah,
And
you'd have to
and
give a lot.
right. And so and like I love giving a lot, but I also am not at the point where my business has the reputation that I am going to feel comfortable enough to take somebody on. And I don't even know what that line is or that threshold is, but
Yeah.
I think it's more like once I'm comfortable with just like setting good boundaries with customers in terms of like, hey, this is the part that I'm going to do. Here are the parts where you get to like have your feedback.
Mhm.
And then like once we agree on that, we're probably not going to be open for changes and stuff. Like once I'm good at like setting that flow, I think I'll be more comfortable of, bringing on additional labor for me, right? Which would be employees. So
Right.
I do picture employees in the future, um, way future. I also picture like a place for kids to like come and learn how to do something, right?
Cool.
And keep them out of trouble type deal.
Yeah.
Um, and just like be a mentor type figure to them too for all of life.
Mhm.
I don't know what that looks like yet either, but that's something that's been on my heart a little bit lately. So
That's super cool.
it's not in a place to make it happen yet, but that's like that gives me a little push in the butt when I feel like I'm not doing much on any given day. I'm like, that's really what I'm after at the end of the day.
That's cool. Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, it's more than one step ahead, right? So now you've got
Hmm.
ways you can go. Like you've
Yeah.
got, next you add employees and then you add that that aspect. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because like you just need workflow in order to justify having more hands, right? But if
Yeah.
you have too much workflow, then you can't dedicate time to teach those hands. So then you need somebody who's skilled. So it's like there's like a balance where you need like two pairs of hands
It's
or
kind of like it's a little bit of a balancing act, right? It's
Mhm.
kind of a chicken or the egg situation almost all the time when you're running a business. Cause like, obviously by hiring people, I could get more input, like more throughput of, money to like be
Yep.
able to pay for all the things. But at the same time, then it's taking away from my free time. And I
Mhm.
am learning how valuable free time is to me at this stage of my life compared to 10 years ago. And so it's just that like balancing act where who knows what comes first. And it's just kind of when I'm ready, I'll feel ready, I think
Yeah.
is what's going to happen.
Do you think you'll ever get big enough to where you're not in the shop 5 days a week?
I I'm trying
Like,
to
is
first
are
I
you
want to
okay with that?
answer. Yeah, that's the question I was going to
That
answer
that was where
first.
I was trying to get the question to go, yeah. Not
I
like
don't
because
know.
we don't know the future, right? Will you get there?
Yeah.
Maybe, but do you want to?
I don't think so. I think I want to be in the shop a
Yeah.
lot. I want to. I really like to be creating, and
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe it might not be woodworking forever. Like I've got a little bit of a writer in me too that I
There you
haven't
go.
tried much with, and um, yeah. So who knows? I'm keeping options
That's
open.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to my wife, and she asked me that question because I've
Yeah.
got these wild ideas that I'm trying to process and figure out like what's the real end goal? Are we going to shift, rebrand, kind of that kind of thing? How can I make this a career and not just like a one man thing forever? Because I think I've just settled on the fact that I can't do that.
Mm,
I can't be a one man thing forever. I don't really want to go work for somebody else. So that means I need
mhm,
employees, right? Like that's
mhm.
how that I need to build a family and a community in a company.
Yeah.
So then if it gets big enough, you need to be running it and making sure things are the brand is on track and it's the quality's there and the people are learning and being trained and customer service stuff. There's all there, and as it gets bigger and bigger, your role changes, right? But she asked, like, are you okay not building? Like, would that, if you're going that far, are you gonna not be fulfilled all of a sudden because you're not in the shop? And I think the rough idea I'm going with here is that I would try to make 2 to 3 to 4 projects a year that are at a high level to where
Mm-hmm.
I can really experiment and learn and have a more that art type piece
Mm-hmm.
while still working on like the design and stuff of all the things I was talking about earlier with the different customizations and things. And like I'd be working with teams on that and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And this is so far out that it's so ridiculous. I'm even comprehending it, but it's like you need to have an idea what the goal is because it's like I don't want to get too far and then figure out, wait, I'm not even into this either, and then go try to be alone in the shop. So, but
Sure.
I think I would do like 2 to 3 to 4 pretty in depth, crazy projects a year, and have a couple hours a week in the shop and either auction them off or do some kind of event or like
Mm.
maybe they're giving away like nominations for like it goes to a teacher or it goes to a military person or a cop or a nurse or a social worker, like something like to
Mm-hmm.
like just give back. And like I think it'd be valuable if you know that the person who's leading your company is so passionate about the actual craft of like the whole reason why we're doing anything here. Like,
Yeah.
why are we even building furniture? And I
Yeah.
think I would want to hold that. So then I still get my shop time and I still get to be creative and make original stuff. It's not for
Mm-hmm.
anybody specific. Like, it would just be, this is like, it'd be basically art, but like trying to make it functional furniture, right? But
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was my answer to my own question of like, could you get away from the shop? I think I could, as long as I had a couple hours a week where I can just get in there and go crazy and try
Just
something that I haven't done.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's cool. I had another thought of like when you said the passion about the craft, like and just like having that person as a leader, like yeah, that's so important to just
Mhm.
and whether it's about the craft or not, like having somebody as a leader who's just like really passionate about why we're all here, right?
Right.
That made me think of I think really what my end goal is like I started this business because it felt like the corporate world just wasn't going to work for me anymore.
Mm.
Like it wasn't there was no path in the corporate world for me to I think find fulfillment, which is what you kind of said at the beginning earlier in this episode where like um I'm hoping that by going off doing this hard courageous thing on my own, trying to figure out my own path to I mean, I don't want to say financial freedom because like I hope I get to financial freedom in
Right.
this, but it's not really an expectation. It's still more geared around the fulfillment and like I would
I think it's
love
okay for that to be a goal though. Like, it
yeah,
seems like
yeah.
you're shy to call that a goal, and I want to encourage you that like that's okay cuz like you're helping people by like your goal is ultimately to help people too, and I can see that.
And
But
that's
like in
yeah,
order to be comfortable helping people, you need financial freedom. So
right.
I think that's okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
so that really I think the end goal to me feels more like can I teach other people to feel that same type of empowerment to like go off on their own and figure out how to make a way for themselves and
Sure.
whether that's in woodworking or just self-esteem teaching or like whatever that thing may be if I can create something where people are just around somebody who's hopefully me has figured out some of that stuff over time and we're never going to get it perfect, right?
Mhm.
That feels more of like the way in which I'd like to give back.
Yeah.
um and so I think that's a what you said made me just really like consolidate that image a little bit,
Yeah.
um which
Well,
is
I think
cool.
that needs to be a goal early on too, because so many
Hmm.
of these companies they say we give back. How we give back? We do this. Do you? Like you do that because you should, and I think like if I was in that situation where I'm building a couple times a week and trying to make beautiful furniture and then not for anybody, it
Mm,
just like it's exciting. Like you can like if you made gifts for somebody before, like building a gift for somebody that you care about with
yeah.
like details that you know about them is so intense and like
Yeah.
I hate to say fulfilling again, but like it works. Like you're into it because like
Mhm.
you're thinking about them the whole time and it's about them. So like knowing that you're showing support to some person who might not know it. And that's what it's getting me excited for this dining table that I'm working on. I'm in early design right now for it. I'm not rushing it, trying to really go slow in the design too, because I find I get like locked on a design, and I'm currently locked on like a shape in my mind, and I'm trying to break it.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm not building it for somebody specific, but it's going to be a giveaway. So I'm interested to see how that goes
Yeah.
because I don't know them yet, and I hope to meet them, and I hope the giveaway goes well, and da 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 da. But like at this point, I'm just trying to make the best table with the materials I have,
Right.
and there's something nice about that too because it's not for me and it's not for somebody who's paying, but it is promotional, so there is a selfish element. But at the end of the day, yeah, I'm excited to deliver that in a couple months here. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
just a different way to go about it, and yeah,
hmm
different feelings come up, and yeah, that's I was gonna say the number one type of job, in my opinion, is when somebody contacts me and gets a custom order that's a gift for somebody else. Like
yes, I'm
that's just
excited for
like
some of those. Yeah,
those are so fun because it's kind of like doing a gift for one of your own friends,
hmm
but yeah, obviously you're getting paid, but it's like that same excitement is felt through that customer, and that's just like that. I've only had that once or twice, but that's a really cool experience too.
yeah. Well, and they have the anticipation, but they don't have like the selfishness to where like they're like you owe me something. You're like no, you owe them something. Like hurry up and finish it for them because I want to see them get excited about it.
And
So it's
yeah,
like you feel more you feel more love from them onto this other person. Like they're not nagging you about progress because they want it sooner just so they can use it. They're
right.
nagging you because they're so excited to go give it to somebody. And that's like way more wholesome way to like
Yeah,
nag you, I guess. I don't know. That's not a great way to say it, but I think you get what I'm
yeah.
going
It's
for.
just it's a different nuance that's really different and just a cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I haven't had any of those. I would really like to. So if somebody
Well,
DM me about getting a gift for somebody because that would be really fun.
with your referral program, I mean, I'm gonna have to keep pushing
You
people your
better
way.
you better keep yep, you better keep spreading it,
Exactly.
Irresistible. Mm.
I'll have a new drink next week
Yeah?
from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I like to hear it. So you talked about going over designs with your wife with the furniture. Um, any input she has that like any rules that she has for you for the furniture in your house that you gotta abide by?
So I haven't she's kind of like the customers you described where I don't get a whole lot. So it's
Oh, yeah.
with
I want it to
her
look
it's
nice.
yeah, with her it's more of a she's not a very spatial reasoning type thinker. And so when I have like I literally have to make something in CAD for her to have any idea what I'm describing,
My
which is
wife
fine.
is the
You're,
exact same, and
yours
I can't
too.
say that too loudly, but yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I actually think it's quite charming and endearing at this
Mhm.
point. But like yeah, as I've been kind of saying, I've got this idea for that, and she's just like, I don't know what you're saying right now. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, don't worry, like we'll go through a few phases. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm still making the calls on this project.
Cool.
Um, but I do want to make sure that I satisfy my toughest customer that I think I'll
Yeah.
ever have.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I mean, you
it's
want
good.
everything to like you don't want her to hate the furniture in her house, obviously, because that would not be
Right.
ideal. You want her to be comfortable just like you.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
that's
and
sweet.
I will say one of the challenges that is actually more of like it's a fun part of the challenge for me, because it's my home, my wife. But if it was a different customer, it'd probably be a different thing. The way we want the house decorated is like I really like cozy, like full, like if you picture like a, I don't know, stereotypical like library that's just got
Yep.
like every inch of every shelf covered with something like a book or knickknacks. Like I really like that cozy, like lots of stuff that has a lot of sentimental value. And
Hmm.
she's very minimalistic.
Yeah.
And so I've got to try to balance that a little bit too,
Hmm.
which is a fun challenge for me because
Definitely hard.
I want us to both be happy, but um and really truly not try to go too much towards my preference while at the same time being able to explore some of my own designs. So it's like another layer that makes that challenge even more fun for me.
Hmm.
But in terms of actual constraints from her, I'll know more once I've got some drawings.
There you go. Once she goes, I don't like that, and you go, okay, I will adjust it.
Yeah,
Yeah, or at least that's what happens to me. Yeah, luckily, I mean, Cal and I are both very clean, like not clean, but like empty.
yeah,
She's the joke about nobody lives here kind of thing. But in
yeah,
reality, it's she's got a really good eye for interior design, and I like everything she sets up. So that's kind of easy on me. But then it feels like I'm designing for an interior designer who has a very specific idea in mind.
sure, yeah,
And like I want to do something weird that I saw on Instagram that I'm like, oh, look at that shape. Like that's so interesting and intriguing. And I want to build something like that because that'd be hard to build. So I could like learn. And then she wants it square. Or,
yeah, yeah.
like she wants it to look normal, like not weird. And I'm
Mhm.
I'm into the weird stuff sometimes.
More
So
eccentric maybe
yeah,
is the different word. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that's a definitely a battle though, just trying to and like I've got so much I just like you, I have on my list, I need to build a coffee table, a side couch table, different than like the normal side tables, a console table. I got
Mm,
two lounge chairs I want to make.
okay.
And that's all for the one room, the one living room. Uh
Nice.
and I feel like I'm missing something, but I think that's it. But it's like I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. So,
Yeah.
like, right now, we're just living with this TV console that we got for free from family that we both don't like. But I'm like, we can't buy one because I'm gonna want to make one. So, like, we need to wait a minute, right? So,
Mhm.
I don't know if you've kind of done the same to where you said you haven't gotten to the full extent of decorating, and then now you're gonna get that chance. So that'll be cool to kind of make it your own.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited. Just I'd say for the last like I think so it's almost 4 years that I've had this business. I've only made like one piece for my wife, which is embarrassingly low. But yeah, it's just like until you get to that place where you know you got to choose a customer who's bringing in money, especially in my
Mhm.
case when it's I am full time and
Yep.
um, it makes it a little bit harder. And yeah, kind of circle back to where I was at the first point, like doing this for my house still like invokes a little bit of that fear of like, oh crap, I'm not going to be making money, but then I am also going to be working on the plans and doing the
Right.
things. It's like I have to keep reminding myself like it's for the long run, it's the right thing. I was going to ask you. We're talking about our wives here. Um, how does she like to get involved, like with your business and how
Oh yeah.
all of that goes? And is that a thing you guys check in on often, or yeah,
Yeah.
just like
Honestly, not until yesterday. We
the first
we
time?
haven't really. I've run stuff by her a lot, and I've tried to kind of test the waters, kind of like I do with you in a way, where I just kind of
Hmm.
say some crazy stuff, and then I see what sticks, and like how does that sound when I actually say it out loud, and it's not just an idea in my head.
Hmm.
So I do that to her all the time. I mean, that's we do that to each other.
Yeah.
Um, but yesterday we actually had a branding type meeting where we sat down at the dining table and went through stuff for
Yeah.
branding because I've been planning a rebrand, right? So,
Mhm.
um, trying to get a gauge on that, and she's got a lot of experience in marketing and communication stuff, so I'm trying to get some of that. And I've been reading a million books, but at the end of the day, real world experience is going to trump a ton of that.
Yeah.
And she works in a different market. She doesn't do product marketing. She sells kind of a service at her work in a way.
Okay.
So it's different, but what I want is some buy-in and from her. I want her to get excited
Hmm.
because I could see her eventually being part of this if
Yeah.
this ends up going anywhere. So, if she can be part of the decision making during this phase shift over to a different brand, and if she can like the path that I'm on, I think it's going to be way better for her to hop on later, where she feels the ownership to it, and it's not like my thing all the time.
Hmm.
And yeah, many hands make light work, right? And it's not like I'm trying to put her to work, but also I know outside knowledge and experience is going to help the whole thing grow. So why not get her involved? So before Whiskey Woodshop was it's my thing. I know what I'm trying to do. It's my brand. And I wasn't ever trying to say that, but like she wasn't interested as much as now that I'm kind of pivoting. There's more interest there, so I'm trying to really capture that and get her excited and
Hmm.
take her opinion. So yeah, it's been good. We'll see how that progresses and what we can build together. So that's pretty
Yeah.
exciting because we're stuck together for our whole lives, right? So I want her to like my job, but I want her to also maybe be part of it, right?
Yeah.
So
Is that something that she wants to, like, is it like, can she picture like down the line being in business with
mhm.
you and like working together?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. As far as
Okay.
she said, yeah, she said she is,
Yeah,
but
that's awesome.
I don't want to. I'm also worried that I'm pressuring, because I'm so passionate about this that I feel there's external pressure that you got to hop on because I'm going.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want that to be the case. But it seems like, especially with the new direction, and like the scale I'm gonna start to try to reach for on the someday kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, I think so. So that'd be cool. That
Cool.
would definitely be cool.
Yeah, it's super important. Like, yeah, I mean, my wife's been really supportive of all the things that, I've done, and like, little less happy about how fast I wanted to jump into doing this full time.
Hmm.
But I mean, like, what I've kind of learned over the last couple years, in terms of how she complements the business, or like, I don't know that she would want to long term like be part of Boss Man's boutique like
Hmm.
as a full time employee, but I think would enjoy being part of it in more significant ways than right now. But the thing that I've learned the most is like not necessarily trying to control the way that like she interacts, or even control like what want from her. Like, if I want to, if we want to talk about it that way, if they're like ways that I need support in the business, let's focus that. So there are things that I want from my wife and like help, and she's also has a past in marketing and things like that. So like there are times where um we'll want to do like an advertising campaign, or
Mm.
like let's do some social media posts together and like try out some new things. And um it's really what, again, the thing that I've learned, and it's hard to articulate, is it's just more important that she understands exactly what I want from the business. So it's usually less effective for me to ask for certain kinds of help than it is for me to just like get really clear on the direction I'm headed and what I'm hoping to get from certain objectives.
Yeah.
And so I've learned that communicating about the business to your partner in that structure goes a lot farther in getting like the reaction of excitement from your spouse that you're hoping to see. Cause like, let's be real, like sometimes I'm going to be struggling with like a technique in the shop that's like
They don't
an
care.
advanced thing that like, yeah, it's way over their head. They don't care at all and they shouldn't. Right.
Oh, yeah. They don't do that. They
But
don't
like,
wanna do that.
I'm going to need support because like maybe I'm like really in my head or my confidence is down and like I don't know what I'm going to do or like how I'm going to pull myself together the next day to keep going back and working on the thing or you know just like getting in that negative mind space. If I let her know like a lot of the times, and this is just marital communications too, is like
Mhm.
anytime you complain or say something's not going right, we jump in with solutions. The other person jumps in with solutions, and that's not necessarily what we're looking for. Um, and so I've just been learning personally that if I say, this is what I'm hoping to get from this is my plan, and this is like these are the parts that I can't give up. And so like sometimes the solution is, well, maybe you don't have to do it that way. And it's like, well, I want to do it this way, but there are different parts that can build up to that different result. Um, so it's really important. Maybe that didn't make sense, but it's really important to understand how you need support from your
Mhm.
spouse instead of just being like, hey, can we help when we're doing this as a team? Like that's usually not enough to like make it effective.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that
That's a good
helped.
mindset. No, I think that made sense, and I think that's kinda true for how this worked out too.
Hmm.
Like, I finally made clear the goal because I think I finally made it clear to myself
Yeah.
kinda what the actual goal is. Like, before I had a business that had a mission, but at the end of the day, I was just making stuff I wanted to make for people who were
Hmm.
paying me, and now it's like, "No, this is the path," and then we gotta go find that those customers on that path versus any customers on that path. Anybody who will bite is kinda who I was already working for.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
then she's seeing more like, I'm trying to build a furniture company here. It's not just me doing projects anymore.
Hmm.
So then it feels more real, and then she can see the goal, and then she's without me asking, I'm terrible. That's my really big weakness is I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, can you help me do X?"
Mm.
Like, I had the Whiskey Woodshop Instagram for probably this is embarrassing, I probably had it for, like, 6 months before she knew about it.
Oh, really?
And that's my own thing. Have you ever made something or started making something, and it's so fresh and so new that you're insecure about it, that it's still like a work in progress, so you're like, I don't want any criticism or judgment on it because 'cause I'm just trying to, like, play with it right now, and that's a lot of the ideas I'm presenting in here too, which is
Yeah.
gonna be funny when we get comments where I don't even wanna hear it because like, I'm just playing with stuff.
Yeah.
You're always just trying the next thing out, and you're gonna see what's gonna happen, right? So,
Hmm.
like, when I was making Whiskey Woodshop Instagram, I was doing the projects were my own house, right? So it's like but I was selling little flight boards out of whiskey barrels on Etsy.
Yeah.
So I was posting, trying to do like a little bit, just seeing what that was like. But I'm embarrassed, and she's my wife. She's
Mm.
like she's the only one I care about, right? Like
Hmm.
she's the most important person in my life. But I'm like shy with things when they're super fresh, and I'm not good at just breaking out into song and having somebody listen, right? Like I need to sing in the shower and be alone and let me work on it. Let me workshop this until anybody hears it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm
That's
not good at asking for help is where that comes to.
sure. That's interesting. I think I'm a little bit the same and a little bit different, and I it's hard to figure out where I'm different because when you say singing in the shower, yeah, I'm definitely singing in the shower more than in front of people. But
Sure, sure.
um, when when it comes to I think I'm a little bit on the opposite end because I've been such a people pleaser my whole
Sure.
life that like if I sense or anticipate that there's going to be anybody who is going to make me feel embarrassed about this new thing that I might start, that would prevent me from starting it in the first place.
Mhm.
And so I haven't really had the opportunity of starting a thing and then keeping it a secret. Um, but then I try to like I go about it in different ways where I test out that embarrassment where I'll be like, "Ooh, I've been thinking about doing this thing," and then see how the audience reacts.
Right.
And so and that kind of basically is a different way of looking at the advice I was trying to give about bringing in the wife or the spouse into your like business is um, instead of doing that, just like this is what I want to do. Like it's not really about an
Mhm.
intention. It's just like I want this to, and like this is what I want to get from it. So it's like if there's like this really difficult technique that I know is I'm going to be like, banging my head for the next 3 days because this is going to be just a hell of a problem to solve.
Yep.
I'm going to let my wife know ahead of time now.
Yeah. Yep.
Where in the
Good
past
idea.
I'd come home and I'd be like so
Right.
pissed, like
Yep.
so in my head and she didn't have a warning. And now I'll be like, hey, I'm doing this really difficult thing. And when I get home tonight, I'm expecting that I'm going to be a little frustrated because I know some things are going to go wrong. And I'm
Mhm.
just going to need you to tell me that the reason I'm telling you now why I'm so stubborn about this idea and I want to do it this way is because I'm going to get this from it.
Mhm.
Then when I get home and I'm frustrated, like,
Say it.
hey, she's just there ready to support me. So I think that was a better
That's
way of
cool.
kind of saying it. So now I'm not really like keeping anything a secret and I'm not really saying, hey, like, do we think this is a good idea? Is this something
Mhm.
that I should maybe try? It's more of just like, ooh, I've identified this. I am doing it. And this is kind of the support that I might need.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that all makes sense. And like the interesting part to where I said that she didn't know about the Instagram yet
yeah.
was she knew I wanted to start a business. And she knew I
Yeah.
was selling the boards on Etsy, but
Hmm.
it's the Instagram, it's the promotion, it's the actual like it's like the first draft paralysis or first draft anxiety or whatever you're gonna call that. Like if I were to write a book, no one's reading the first chapter till I write the second chapter, till I write the third chapter, till I write the
Yeah.
fourth. And then let me do a once over. And then even if it's not done, then I could maybe give it to a couple people and
I
right. So
see.
it's like that's that like I'm still communicating I want to write a book. That like the idea of I want to write a book and oh I'm gonna work on a book, but I don't want you to be part of it yet
I see.
because
Yeah.
like it's like the early it's like if a kid was drawing a picture and he just draws the first line and then
Yeah.
somebody like says, "Oh, that's trash." It's like you haven't seen it yet. Like so that's it's the early critique that can really shut people down. So I try to avoid that a lot. Is
Sure.
that early critique where I'm like, "I'm still working on it. Give me a minute."
Yeah. I think that's a good, healthy way to go about it. Like, I think that's,
Yeah, till you
yeah.
hide an Instagram from your wife and then she feels bad, but it's fine.
Yeah. As long as you can explain the reasons, I think
Lesson learned.
that one's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so we'll see how it goes moving forward. It seems like she's interested in getting into it, and I hope it's fun work for her. And I don't
Yeah.
want it to cross over into work.
Yeah. Obligation
Um,
work.
yeah, so it's all
Do you have
about
any
doing it for fun.
do you have any sneak peeks or any little hints you can tease to us about what you came up with or
Oh, for
too
branding stuff.
too fresh?
Um, I mean, we might as well say it because I'm pretty stuck on it. I think Whiskey Woodshop is going to turn into
Imbibe. Okay.
imbibe, which is the Latin word for to drink or
Mm,
indulge.
okay.
Get fucked up. Um, so I think it'll be Imbibe, and then but there
Okay.
will be an overarching company name, which I'm not rock solid on yet.
Okay.
Um, and I think
Cool.
yeah, there'll be different segments, and we're gonna
Hmm.
start with the bar and lounge stuff,
Hmm.
which is where I'm already at, and then I think we're gonna add in dining next. which
Okay.
I happen to be working on a dining table, so it works out. But
Yeah.
I think it'll be Imbibe. Maybe it won't, but
Right. Yeah.
trying to figure it out. I was kind of in a rush because I needed to renew the business anyway because it's December.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I'll just change the name and do all that. But it's like, nope, slow down. It's going to be okay. Let's
Yep.
do this right. I'm not going to want to rename this thing again. So,
Intentionality. Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah. So renewed yesterday, and we're just going to keep putzing along with Whiskey Woodshop. And then I just need a plan for in the new year. So if I get to 2025 and I'm not out of Whiskey Woodshop, that's probably a problem because I want to get moving on this. I do want to get
Okay.
moving on this,
Okay.
but
All
yeah,
right.
we'll see what happens.
Put in my calendar right now. Set a reminder for 2025.
Check if Matt is in the hole. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to get to put WW anymore, and then this is going to just turn into like a retro logo, I guess. I don't know. Sorry to everybody who bought merch.
It's one of a kind. It's even more. It's rare.
We did them cheap. We did them at cost anyway, so it's all right. It wasn't like a big run or anything, so it's all right. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to get away from, some people think I do renovation stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to ditch that. Some people think I do built-ins a lot. It's my own fault for posting it. I'm going to delete those posts.
Okay.
We're going for quality standalone furniture here. So I just want to get away from whiskey, which I don't want to get away from, right? But because it has that theme that is kind of the vibe. But the word whiskey, a lot of people hate whiskey. So why use a word with such big connotation?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then woodshop sounds informal. So that's the main reason. I think the overall brand and vibe that you see on Instagram is still about what I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a name shift, and then I want to make a structure to where I can branch off into other furniture market segments. So that's the plan.
Great. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing the sneak peek. And I totally understand it might change, but imbibe sounds pretty sweet.
Imbibe. Yeah. I mean, it's just a word that means things, and it's not super popular, and some people don't know what it is, but some people use it. It can be used as a verb or it's a name for a magazine that has cocktails and stuff in it. So it has the same kind of feel, but it's not quite Whiskey Woodshop. So
sure. Yep. Cool.
Yep. Any reactions to that?
I think it sounds sweet. Like I think based on the conversations we've had previous and just kind of getting to know you a little bit more over time I think it did no shock there. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, that sounds neat. Cool. Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you spell it?
Imbibe.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm just checking because like I want it to be approachable enough that like people who might not know the word very well can spell it and say it, and I don't want it to be some weird out of box word. So yeah.
I think well balanced.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'll let you know as we progress through there, and then hopefully by end of next year we'll be fully out of here. So
super cool, man. I can't even picture my next year. Yeah.
Yeah, neither can I. Maybe I'll be in some crazy shop by the end of the year. You never know.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah. I mean, things are coming up us if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, we'll be still chugging along hopefully by this time next year too, and hopefully we'll get to have some reaction and conversation with the listeners too, which will be interesting to see how that goes. To where at this point we've just been having our chats, right? So
yeah,
it'll be cool to see the change.
Absolutely.
But any last thoughts? Should we call it? Catch you next week.
I think that's about it for me.
Cool. Well, talk to you later.
Yeah, great talking to you as always, man. See you next week. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'd be having these conversations with or without you because we get a lot of value out of this and we learn and grow together, but we're glad that you're here as well.
Yes, please let us know what you think of the podcast by leaving a review or a rating, but also comment or share with your friends in the woodworking or small business community. I'm Matt from Whiskey Woodshop.
And I'm Brian of Boss Man's Boutique.
Thanks for
Thanks for
listening.
listening.